In elementary school, we learned that Hitler and the Nazis hated, so therefore killed the Jews. In junior high, we learned that gypsies, the disabled, Jehovah's Witnesses, and homosexuals were all part of Hitler's list of subhumans. But really, we're not taught that Hitler considered people with Slavic roots barbarians and just as subhuman as the others. The Nazis even went as far to make Poland part of their main dumping ground.
Soon after the Germans invaded, they built the ghetto. They gave us a few weeks to move in and for current residents to get out. We obliged. How bad could it be? We were wrong. Completely wrong.
The Warsaw Ghetto was located in a small part of the city that had been heavily damaged by the bombings that September. 400,000 people were crammed into just 73 streets.
Crowded. As the weeks and months and years ticked by, there was less and less food. People were starving to death on the streets, and we were starving to death on the streets. Disease was everywhere. I cannot begin to describe the horrors of it all.
The Germans' main excuses for building the ghetto is that it would help control a typhus epidemic. To keep the population unsuspicious, they gave out epidemic control passes to qualified people from the Aryan side of the wall.
But some of the population was already growing suspicious, namely a woman in her 20s named Irena Sendler and her circle of friends. Irena was one of the fortunate few with an epidemic control pass, which she used to get herself in and out of the ghetto.
But as she was going back and forth between the Jewish quarters and the Aryan housing, she smuggled out children. These children would then be given new identities.
Grandmother was one of those children. Smuggled out as a baby, Irena and her network gave her a new life, but it came at a cost. She was converted to the Catholic religion. They even baptized her.
The children were smuggled out in parcels, baskets, under clothing, through sewers, through holes in the walls. Pretty much anything that Irena and her large network could think of to get the children safely across.
Irena Sendler saved my grandpa. Don't know how she managed it. Every time she walked anywhere, she was in danger. The Gestapo were constantly looking for her.
The Gestapo were also walking around the city looking for anybody, children and adults alike, who might be Jewish. If any were found, they were brutally killed. So was anyone else helping them. Irena and a few of her colleagues did get caught by the Gestapo, but they didn't let any important information about the children slip, and miraculously, most of them escaped alive.
Some of us looked relatively arrogant and were easier to hide than others. It was harder to find families for those of us that were obviously Jewish.
As 1942 and 43 approached, people were carted out of the ghetto by the 10,000s. They were then put on trains to various labor, concentration, and death camps.
Most of them were carted off to Treblinka, a death camp with 6 gas chambers. Hundreds of thousands of people died there, some not even realizing their fate until it was too late.
And as all of this was happening, Irena quickened her pace, getting children out of the ghetto as fast as humanly possible.
Teenagers take them through the sewers after they sealed the ghetto off. Even when they posted guards at the sewer entrances, Irena kept going.
As the final solution grew closer and closer, the ghetto became wilder and wilder. My father remembered weekly fights in the ghetto against the Gestapo. Sometimes the Jews won, but mostly they didn't.
After one final battle, the ghetto was liquidated. The Germans burned the whole thing down, and people were forced out of hiding, then shot in the head. There were charred bodies everywhere, and they became a part of the landscape.
There was fighting even after the ghetto was no longer and the Jews were dead. Street fighting took place all over Warsaw, so the Gestapo did what the Gestapo did best: kill people.
They were under orders to kill every resident of Warsaw, from the smallest of children to the oldest of men. Essentially, the Gestapo set out to liquidate an entire city. The exact death toll is unknown, but the effect was catastrophic.